All right, folks, you got an old faucet that's starting to leak on you, or maybe you just want to change it for aesthetic values. It's a pretty simple job if you got the right tools and the know-how. Well, I'm going to change one out, and Dad's going to give you the know-how. Take a chair. I'll show you how it's done. What Dad can do. All right, so what we're changing out today, we're going to be putting in a mowing, and it's going to be a single spout without the side handles here for the hot and cold. When you put this type of faucet in that we're putting in, it's going to replace all of this. And it comes with a cover piece here that's going to block off where the other handles used to be. I'll show you what the one we're putting in looks like. This is a mowing, and it's going to be a single spout, and the hot and cold is going to come out here on the right hand side. That'd be forward, backwards, and down and out to increase the volume of water. This is everything is inside of it. Took a look. It's going to be a very simple install, but again, if you got the tools and the know-how, it makes it run along pretty quick. So all of the parts are in here. This is the cover that we talked about. Now, if you've done this before, some of you may be thinking that you need some plumber's putty, but they've done a really good job lately making sure that we've got gaskets instead of having to put plumber's putty on there like we used to. So that one's covered. They give you the little tool that you're going to use in order to tighten the retainer nut down. So that's inside of here, and all the other hardware seems to be in place. So we're going to take a look at the spout. All right. All right. It's pretty nice. It's going to be a simple install. Everything has gaskets. So again, we don't have to use a lot of plumber's putty. We may end up putting a little bit of thread tape on, but we'll see how that goes when we get to it. All right. Looks like everything is there. I'm going to go ahead and move this to the side. All right, folks, I'll take you under here. Let's take a look. Now, I put a towel down here just because there's going to be some water. It may not be a ton of water, but you'll get some that comes out of the lines themselves. For instance, when we break this valve, the area where the valve is, there'll be water inside of this line. Same thing here. Get you around here. But there will be water inside of these lines. So you want to put something down to catch that water. Now, I'm going to take you under here. And back where the actual action is. Right here. All right. So folks, you can see where our cold and hot water go in. Here, right there, and this is the main line for the sprayer that's going to come off. Now this sprayer is going to be done away with, so we're going to disconnect those the water to the faucets, and we are going to first and foremost turn off the water at the valves. All right, so we're going to turn the water off at the valve. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. All right, I'll do the same thing to the other valve. Now that the water is shut off, this is something I've learned. I go ahead and turn on the water up here at the sink. It lets the extra pressure drain out on the hot and the cold side. And that kind of cuts down on the water that we get down through the valve. Now, this is another thing it shows me. These valves are pretty old, so the valves aren't shutting the water off completely. So let me go in here and see if I can put a little more pressure, see which one of them is not closing. And that means there's a possibility these valves need to be changed. All right. So you see the water slowing down a bit, but it's not shutting completely off. So the valves may not be shutting off the flow of water. So that could be a problem. So what's probably going to happen is this valve is going to have to be removed, and we're going to have to sweat that fitting and put a brand new valve on. But for now, see if we can get it to shut off so we can at least change out the faucet. All right, so I disconnected the supply lines and the little backers that actually hold the faucet. I'm going to go ahead and lift it right on out of the top. Now, when they're free, all you got to do is lift it off. All right, here's the old one. Been in there for quite a while. And the little gasket that keeps your water from going down up under your sink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this up. I'm going to get something to clear this surface so when we put the other one down, it'll be good to go. Now, I want to show you something while we're up here. The blue faucet has a different type of design. Now, all of these are going to go down the center. And this piece will be here. That's great for if you want to, if you're a cook, you like to fill your pots and stuff, sitting them in the sink, or maybe you want to rinse a turkey or something. You've got a high neck to it, and it'll be a faucet tip that's come off here. Now, this area now, if you're wondering what's going to happen to the two valves, I'll show you. This is the cover plate. That's going to go here and cover the two open holes. And that is how it ends up being a single out of the top. All right. And we're going to cap the sprayer because you won't ever need that again. The sprayer is going to be a part of the faucet. All right, going to clean this up. All right, now it's time to sweat these fittings off. I'm going to take my torch, I'm going to heat them until I start getting a little silver flux drip out of them, and I should be able to just twist them a little bit and bring them off. Let's get the torch up and going. Start with the one that's got the water in it first, it'll take longer. It's up to some extreme heat, so you can see the water bubbling out of there. It's hot through the entire system. It's going to boil. Run that water out. And that's what's going to make this one take a little longer. The water continues to cool it while I'm trying to heat it. But again, if you got a shop vac, you can suck that water out of there and make it just as quick, a lot quicker. Careful, because the water that's popping out of there is pretty warm. to the one that doesn't have the water in it, you'll notice how fast this happens compared to one that has water in the tube. Bubbling stop or slow down. Once that gets dry enough, we'll be able to retain the heat. Maybe getting in the neighborhood. That's water. Looks like we're finally starting to gain a little temperature. And again, don't be so surprised how fast this other one goes without the water. Starting to change a little of the color. Then you're getting the heat. There we go. All right. Soft. It's extremely hot, and we've got this inside of the sink. one down, and for comparison, watch this next one. So be careful what's behind your torch, and that heat is going to continue to flow out. I'm doing this with all the valves open. Here we go. Notice how the temperatures got up so much faster? Almost there. We're going to have to reposition ourselves for this because the protector for the garbage disposal is plastic. So I wanted to move around and reposition to get this one off. Now I want to shoot away from the plastic like this so I don't put too much heat on it and cause any kind of damage. All right. All right, let's torch them. Okay, folks, we are free. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up those pipes with a little sandpaper. Now, for this job, we're using shark bites. Now, a lot of folks have started moving to the shark bites because you don't have to sweat them on. But no matter what you do, you want to make sure those pipes are nice and clean so the shark bite can fit and hold well. If you were going to be sweating them back on, you would go through the same process. So let me get those pipes cleaned up with some sandpaper. As soon as they're cool enough for me to work with them. They are extremely hot right now. So as soon as they're cool enough, I'm going to run the sandpaper around and make sure that they are clean and clear to receive the shark bites. And again, it'd be the same process if you were sweating them back on. Be right back. Okay, folks, so we got the valves off. They've been on here for probably about 3 decades. And so the water's a little hard, so you see that buildup right there where the valves are. It's likely what contributed to it. You can see it in this one as well. So I'm going to clean those out as far as I can and go ahead and clean up the flux, the extra here. before we put our other valves back on. It's actually cooled off pretty good. All right, let's get that done. Just gonna clear out what I can here.
And what is that?
Calcium deposit, mineral deposits that have moved through the line and have decided to build themselves up right where the valve is. Okay, now, folks, here comes the easy part. This is a shark bite. It's got little teeth in there. You don't have to solder anymore. What I'm going to do is going to install this one. And I believe it was pointing downward. So what you want to do is this little thing here is actually how you get the shark bite off as well. But you put this on first, or I put it on first, with the large side facing towards the valve that you're going to put in. And then you take the shark bite, put it over the edge. I like to make sure it's seated pretty good, and then you press. Press until it's fully seated. And there you go. It's as easy as that. Now, wherever we decide we're going to hook this up, it will rotate around. And this goes to the dishwasher. So, I'm just going to go ahead and put it on. Now, a way you can make sure you don't cross-thread it is sit it as flat as you can and turn it the direction to go off. And you hear that little click? I'll do it again. If you heard that little click, that means you're flat and you can go to the tightening direction. That keeps you from cross-threading. All right, now I'm going to tighten this while I don't have other valves in the way. Now, folks, you can do it when you're all done with everything. But we're going to turn the water on and check for leaks momentarily. But I find it easier to do stuff like this for something that's going to be a little more recessed when the other valves aren't in the way. All right, it's nice and stuck. All right, one down. Now I'm going to feed that over. Looks great. Now I'm just going to repeat that with the other valves. All right, so 2 more quarter turn shark bites. Now, this can pop on afterwards, but I make it a habit of putting it on beforehand. I fit it, push it all the way in until it seats. Now this valve is a quarter turn. If it's straight up and down with the outflowing water, that means the valve is on. If you turn it opposite of the outflow, then the valve is shut off. Let's go ahead and put this last one on. Same thing. Wonderful. Feed this in. And now it looks great as well. I'm going to shut all the valves off because when I turn the water on to check for leaks, I want it to build up whatever pressure it's going to build, and I can see where there's leaking. Now folks, I'm going out to the road side and I'm going to turn the water back on. Now my wife's here and she's going to tell me if she sees any leaks. Okay folks, it is perfect. We have no leaks. Everything is dry as a bone. So at this point we're going to go ahead and put the faucet in, hook it up to the new valves. Now those valves are quite pretty and they're fairly expensive. You're looking at about 13-14 bucks a piece for those. They could run up a little higher depending upon where you get them from and what angle you need, etc. But you're looking at the mid-teens for the cost on those if you want to use them. All right, we're going to go ahead and put this faucet in and we'll be out of here. All right, first thing I'm going to do, folks, just to get it out of the way, is I'm going to take the sprayer cap and it goes in right here. So I cleared this off pretty good. And now we're going to put the base plate down. It goes right here. And the faucet's going to feed in. All the hoses straight down. Now you'll note it's marked hot for the hot water. Hot's going to be on our left. You don't have to do a whole lot of adjusting here, but it helps a little bit when you get down there. Just feed them all through. And then of course this is the feed for the sprayer, and we're going to feed everything down into the hole, and we're going to adjust the handle over where it's going to go. All right, now it can just stay just like that, and up here we've got a bit to do with the faucet. We have to feed this through, and it'll go down out the bottom. You guys can see that. Can you see it coming through on that gold? It's going to feed right through there. All right, now that's to the sprayer. I'm going to go ahead and do all of my assembly up here because once I get down there and everything's hooked up, we'll be good to go. I'm going to feed this in. Again, folks, I feed it reverse until it clicks, and then we're running on. Well, the way they've got these things now, you don't have to put the plumber's tape on it. And there it is. It's together up top. Now this is the little wrench they give you in order to run the nuts down. Oh. So I found this little gasket inside of our bag here, and it goes here. So we're going to feed it all the way up. If I'd have seen it before we put that in, we'd have it in already. But I'm gonna go ahead and feed this up. It fits here. And just feed everything back in there. I'm starting to notice here, everything looks really, really nice. It cleans up the whole look of the sink going to the single valve. Okay? All right. So now, we're going to put the stabilizing nut that holds the whole faucet onto the sink. On now. Now when we get up under there, there's a spot or a little location for this washer where all of the lines come down past it. This is going to go up on the threaded portion that we're going to put this nut on. And that's how it holds the sink and the faucet together. All right, going under for that now. All right, so this is to the sprayer, and this is going to feed over it because it's going to be what separates the actual nozzle and everything from the hoses. And then the nut's going to go on. And that's what we're going to run up to secure the faucet. I'm going to run it by hand for a while. Until it gets up near the sink. And it's quite a long run, so get yourself settled. Now once it gets up a little bit, the tool that came with it helps out quite a bit. Feed it right up, sit it onto the nut, and it gives me a little better grasp on the nut. And again, it's a long run, so be prepared for it. Okay, so up top the faucet should be starting to stand pretty good. But what I do is I put it on fairly snug, but not just tightened up yet, because once I go up, I'll make some adjustments. All right, so now to make the attachments. Down here, where we put the valves on, transfer you folks down. Remember, our hot is marked, and the hot is on the left-hand side. I'm going to start this backwards first, sit it flat. I'm going to move it, turn it lefty-loosey until we get that flat click. Just heard it. And now, turn to the right. That'll keep you from cross-threading. Well, it would help if I would not move it. All right, just clicked, and now we turn it to the right. And that'll keep you from cross-threading it. So this is good for automotive. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're putting a nut on something, go opposite first, and then when you hear your click, you can go ahead and twist it into the tightening direction. All right, going to do the same thing for the cold over here. I'm going to get my little wrench. It's the red and black wrench. And I'm going to run them down. All right. So the hot and cold are in. Now what I'm going to do before I hook up the sprayer is I'm going to go up top and make sure the faucet's facing the direction we want it to. I'm going to have my wife hold it in place right where we want it, and I'll tighten it here and it'll stay. All right. So one of the reasons we want it loose is, see the gasket here? It's kind of off. So what I want to do is come under here and loosen it a little bit more. Get it tighter than I prefer. So that I can seat that properly under here. All right, now that the faucet has been secured into place, I tighten the nut so it's solid. It's where it's going to be. All right, now you'll notice that this hangs. There's a weight that goes on the bottom. It's got a little yellow mark where the weight's supposed to go on the line. Well, notice here marks the spot where the weight is supposed to be installed. So, bust the clamp open, place it over the yellow, and close it in place. All right, and now if you look up here, you'll see the weight is what holds it there. So when you pull it away, it goes back into place. All right, the last thing down here, folks, is we're going to hook up the sprayer. To the faucet. Right here. And there we go. I moved these because I had to do a little adjustment, but I'm just going to attach them back. Hot to hot, cold to cold. All right, I'm going to torque them back, and then the magic happens. We're going to do a test to make sure that what we got from the factory doesn't leak either. The mower makes a real good product. However, there's the human factor with anything that's manufactured. So we can expect a pretty good outcome, but we trust, we verify.
How's it looking? Yeah.
Wonder how long it took me to work it. Hot and cold.
Okay, now it's time to do the final leak test. I'm going to turn all the valves on. First, the dishwasher. It's a quarter turn. Absolutely no leaks. We're good through. Now, we're going to go with the cold water. Cold water is on. Pressure's on. No leaks. And now for the hot water. Hot water's on. Pressure's on. No leaks. Okay, now let's go up top. have no leaks.
I need to dry it.
All right, folks, so this is our end product. Most of the things you have around your home, you can do yourself if you've got a little bit of patience, a little bit of know-how, but you also got to have the tools. So, faucet's replaced, water's back on, we don't have any leaks, and this is yet another thing that Dad can do.